The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Let me just say, after View distorting the belt to proclaim me the real world champion, I'm going to tell you all with a tear in my eye, this is the greatest moment in my life. When you walk around this world and you tell everybody you're number one, the only way you get to stay number one is to be number one.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Captain Lou Extravaganza. We are live here on the Captain Lou Sports Network on YouTube. I invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is the Captain Lou Sports Network, and you will be privy to all of our shows here on the Captain Lou Extravaganza, all the shows on the network, including some big ones we've got coming up. We're going to have an announcement next week on a new podcast that we're going to be adding to the Captain Lou Sports Network. I really think you're going to like it. We're going to start it later on in the summer in August, but it's going to be a fun podcast, and I'm really looking forward to producing that and bringing that to you. So we got a lot to talk about there next week, but we've got some exciting news coming with our Captain Lou Sports Network. So I hope that you stick around and learn more about that. You can follow us as well on our social media platforms. We are on Twitter at The Real Captain Lou, also on Facebook, The Captain Lou Extravaganza, or my personal page, Louis Gamlin, Instagram the same way, or drop me an email, sweetlou1965 at yahoo.com, and we will answer all the emails as we always do here on the network. Our show today brought to you by MahlerBros.com. If you want to look good on the golf course, I highly recommend you check out MahlerBros.com. We've got a great selection of polos, T-shirts, you name it, sleek designs, form-fitting, make you feel good. And when you feel good, you look good. Or if you look good, you feel good. How about that? And if you feel good, it might help you play good. Even if you're not golfing, you want to go to that barbecue or whatever this summer, check out MahlerBros.com and make sure you use the promo code Belly Up for 15% off of your purchase. That is MahlerBros.com. And also, we're brought to you this morning by Javi Coffee, the best in instant coffee. Highly recommend it. Tastes great. It's easier than pods. It tastes better than gourmet coffee. 1 teaspoon or tablespoon, hot or cold. That's Javi Coffee. We've got regular decaf, salted caramel, French vanilla, my favorite. And when you go on the website, make sure you use the promo code Captain Lou for 15% off of your purchase. That is javicoffee.com. It's a free-for-all Friday. Here we're going solo today. We're going to talk a little bit about the NBA draft last night. Not a lot of surprises. A little bit different. It's always, it always comes down to a guessing game after that, but a little bit different twist with the draft. We'll kind of talk a little bit about that later on with the Thompson twins being selected 4 and 5 to Houston and Detroit. Of course, Wembanyama getting drafted by San Antonio. We'll talk a little bit about the NBA draft here shortly. And also we'll take a dive into the Major League Baseball standings as we do every Friday. We got a huge weekend set coming up in Major League Baseball. The red hot Cincinnati Reds, 11-game winning streak. They're going to take on almost as hot the Atlanta Braves. They've got an 8-game winning streak. They're going to be playing a 3-game set this weekend. Both teams in first place, the Braves in the NL East, and of course the Cincinnati Reds in the National League Central. And we'll talk about Rob Manfred, what he had to say this week. Again, unbelievable. And then, of course, the Hall of Fame in the NHL was announced Wednesday afternoon. I'll give you my thoughts on that. And not real happy about a couple of snubs, and we'll get into that towards the end of the show. So I invite you to stick around and take a listen or take a watch here on the Captain Lou Extravaganza. We are powered up by Belly Up Sports. Check out our website, bellyupsports.com, for all the the complete list of podcasts that we have. We've got some great podcasters out there. 1420 Sports Bar podcast. The Just to name one of them, the Corner Booth podcast, Craft Brewed podcast. They do a wonderful job. Ryan McCarthy, heck of a job with his podcast. Had a chance to sit in with him the other day on another show. A lot of fun talking sports with him. So just to name a few of the podcasts that we have here on the network, theater and college hoops, you name it. Also check out our articles that we have on the network. Some great articles by just a fantastic crew of sports writers. Every sport that you can imagine, we cover it here on Belly Up Sports. Well, the NBA draft was held last night. Both rounds, just a 2-round draft as normal here with the NBA in the past few years. And Wembanyama, he was drafted first. No surprise really in that one. He's going to be a game changer for the San Antonio Spurs. Already people are anointing him the next great thing, a generational talent. We'll see if it's justified. I think, he's got a good head on his shoulders. He was groomed for this. 7'4", 7'5". The key word last night, I think in the draft that I heard that I took out of it was wingspan. And he's got it. He can play defense. He might be pushed around a little bit in the beginning, getting acclimated to the NBA, but he's got it all. He can shoot, he can run, he can play defense. He can play point if he has to. It's gonna be fun to watch him play. I'm getting back into the NBA here in the last couple of years. My son's really huge in it. He's got me in it, my nephew. So took a little interest in watching the draft last night. Wembanyama is going to be a generational talent. There's no doubt about it. San Antonio, with the luck of the draw, with the lottery, didn't have the worst record, but you know what? They got the ping pong balls to fall their way. So they are indeed going to be, they got the services of Wembanyama. No surprise there. Miller going second to Charlotte. It was kind of up in between him and Scoot for second and third in the draft. He's going to go to Carolina, or Charlotte, I should say, the Hornets. It was funny watching the reaction of one of the sports bars on social media this morning. Not kind of lukewarm. So we'll have to wait and see. He had a good, for at Alabama, he did well for them. Of course, some off the court issues that apparently weren't his fault. So hopefully he can rise above that. He's a good ball player, and I think he's going to be a difference maker in Charlotte. And Scoot Thompson, of course, or Henderson getting the third pick, going to Portland. Now we'll have to wait and see if what Portland does, if they're going to build around him and Dame Lillard. I know they want to get Jeremy Grant back maybe. So he's going to help out Portland, but it's going to be fun to see what they do now with Dame Lillard. Is he going to stay in Portland? So we'll have to keep an eye on that. He'll be the subject of trade rumors throughout the summer, now that the NBA will be entering their quote unquote silly season with the draft over, kind of a down period as far as playing. Summer league games will start up in July, but we'll have to wait and see. 4 and 5, we got the Thompson twins. I don't know if I was really surprised by that, getting, with Amen Thompson going to Houston and then Oscar Thompson going to Detroit. My only surprise with Detroit is, they need some guards that can fill it up, the three-pointer. And I know that's kind of the one knock on Thompson for Detroit, but he's a character guy. And that's what Troy Weaver was looking for, the GM of the Pistons. And then the Pistons made a trade a little bit later on, down towards the end of the first round. And, there weren't a lot of big trades in the draft. And I think a lot of people look for that in the first round of the draft. And there weren't a lot of big trades. Detroit made one towards the end with Boston, who had a couple extra draft picks after that big trade they made. We'll talk about it in a moment. Getting, Kristaps Porzingis from Washington in a 3-team deal. Detroit got Saucer. He's a pretty good shooting guard out. He was a 4-year player out of Houston. And so I think he's got a chance to stick with with the Pistons. He could make he could make a difference with the Detroit Pistons. They got a lot of young talent there. With Monty Williams at the helm, it's going to be fun to watch them as a Pistons fan. Nowhere to go but up. Detroit finished last, 17-65 last year. They've got some great young talent. Cade Cunningham, if he can stay healthy. Duran, Ivy. They've got some talent there. Now, we'll see what these two guys can do to contribute to that. So it's going to be fun to watch. Again, no real surprises in the draft. The kid from Villanova fell down to number 20, I believe. He didn't have very good workouts. There was some talk that he was going to probably, Cam Witherspoon, going maybe as high as 5 to Detroit. Power forward. I think he could be a good pick. He could be a good player. Get healthy, and he's going to be motivated, and so that may be a surprise there. Jet Howard going to Orlando. That could have been maybe a surprise of the draft. I didn't know if he was going to go that high. I watched both players from Michigan this year playing, and I didn't know I didn't think they would be. I didn't think they'd be lottery picks, but obviously they were. So congratulations to the Michigan players, both getting drafted in the top 15. One guy that I'm going to keep an eye on, and I'm actually rooting for him, and he's kind of a local talent here in the Michigan area. I'm going to keep an eye on Imani Bates. He got drafted, I know, second round by Cleveland. He had a lot of hype in high school. I think he was Gatorade Freshman of the Year back when he was in Ypsilanti, Michigan, just outside of Ann Arbor here in the Detroit area. He played 1 year in high school ball. Then his dad formed an academy so they could play nationwide when he was in high school, his sophomore and junior year. He decided he verbally committed to Michigan State, then opted out of it. He decided to forego his senior year of high school, played 1 year at Memphis under Penny Hardaway. That was a disaster. He got injured. Then they're saying maybe he wasn't motivated, had a clash of personalities with Penny Hardaway, transferred, played at Eastern Michigan, had a decent year in the MAC, but it is the MAC. The guy had a lot of talent, a lot of promise coming out of high school. And the reason I'm cheering for him is I hope he gets the opportunity to prove that he was a good ball player. It all goes back to all the hype. I don't know if his dad kind of overdid it a little bit, pushed him maybe a little bit too fast. I don't know. He's a young kid. It seems like he's a lot older than he is. I don't even think he's 21 yet. And he worked out with Detroit. There was some talk that the Pistons might take him at 31, but they ended up trading that pick into the first round. So you knew that he wasn't going to go there. But I'm cheering for the guy. He was picked 49th overall by Cleveland. He did well in the MAC. He can shoot. He can fill it up. And he's got a lot of raw talent. And I kind of cheer for a guy like that only because you wonder how much input he had in all this hype. You get groomed by your parents or whatever. Not quite to the extreme of LeVar Ball and the Ball brothers, a few years ago. But here's another guy that may fall victim a little too much hype. Maybe he couldn't handle it. And, I think back on these kids, and these are kids. They're 17 years old. And I don't know. It's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how he does at Cleveland. And again, a lot of these younger kids too. It's a different animal now. And I look at what really kind of I look back at the Thompson twins. Getting drafted, going back to that with Houston and Detroit at 4 and 5. The first 5 picks, 4 out of the 5 were not college kids, and these kids are 19 years old. How are they gonna acclimate to the NBA play? It's a different animal right now. And, I was talking to a couple of friends, family members, kind of texting back and forth this morning. How is this going to affect how the big name players, are they going to go this route with this Ignite League, Overtime Ignite or whatever, Overtime Elite, whatever it was called. It's a league it's a professional league for kids 16 to 20. These guys they didn't go to their senior year of high school. They groomed themselves for the NBA. and Scoot going to Portland. He played in the G League one year. If you don't want to play college sports, I get it. If your main purpose is to go to the NBA, I'm all about it. Why waste your time in college if you think that you're ready for the NBA? But are they ready? You know, you listen to Answer Thompson, talking to the media in Detroit from Detroit afterwards, and he said you're going to see more players from this league. This is just the tip of the iceberg. We don't know a whole lot about it. It's a new thing. It's a new way, for the kids, to get drafted into the pros. It's an alternative for those that don't want to go to college and they want to get paid. Now with NIL, it's a different animal. You can get a pretty good chunk of change to play a couple of years. You see some of these players are going to get millions of dollars in the NBA now or in college through NIL money. These are questions that, I'm fascinated by, with this draft last night. 4-year players that are not getting drafted. That's nothing new. 4-year college players. And so I'm really fascinated to see what these teams go into this Ignite League or whatever. It's a new animal. It's a new era of the NBA draft where you're getting the 18 and 19-year-old kids to play in the NBA right out of not out of high school. They got to go 1 year of eligibility. Some of the kids will fail. There's no doubt about it. Their maturity level. You can play amongst your peers at 18 and 19 years old. Now you're going to be playing with the big boys, and you're going to be introduced to a lot of money, the stuff off the court. That's what I want to see. How are these young kids are going to adapt to it? They got groomed a little bit in the G League, but I don't know, man, or this overtime elite or whatever. It's going to be it's going to be interesting and fascinating to watch how these kids develop here in the next few years. Are they going to be able to develop? Is it better? Is it going to be better than college basketball as a grooming ground, if you will, getting you ready for the NBA? Because like I said, Wembayana, he was groomed for this overseas. You can't take the college or the European game for granted anymore. He's probably going to be an all-star, Wembayana. He's got all the hype. He's got the talent. And maybe down the road, he will bring a championship to San Antonio. How is he going to impact the game right away? And, Brandon Miller going to Charlotte. How is he going to impact the league? These kids are young. And that's what I want to watch in some of these kids, the maturity level. Before we take our first break, I want to talk about a couple of the trades in the NBA that were made. Chris Paul got traded yesterday morning going to Washington or going to Golden State. He got traded from Washington after he was traded from Phoenix. He's going to Golden State. I don't know about how good a fit that's going to be. He's a character guy from what I hear. He's 39 years old. Is he going to be able to keep up with the tempo that they run in Golden State? I know why they did it. It was a salary move because Golden State wants to keep, they probably want to keep Draymond Green at Golden State. In order to do that, they had to get rid of some salary. And so, Jordan Poole with that massive contract, he's going to be gone now. He's in Washington. He's going to be part of a rebuild there. I mean, maybe a fresh start for him in Washington will do him good. You could tell towards the end of the playoffs, it just wasn't clicking. There was something going on there. Him and Dre weren't going to be able to play together anymore. To me, that shows a sign that Golden State's going to go hard after Draymond to keep him there. And I think they should. I think they should try to focus on him even more than Klay Thompson. So that was a big trade. I think Chris Paul's going to stay in Golden State. The only way I could see him maybe down the road, maybe getting waived or bought out at the trade deadline if it doesn't work. But he's going to be a part of that team this year. What his contribution is, if he can stay healthy, yeah, he's an added weapon. Can he play defense? That's going to be the other question in Golden State. So we'll have to wait and see on that. And of course, the big trade that was made this week, a 3-team trade with Golden with Memphis and Boston and Washington again. Kristaps Porzingis goes to Boston. He's going to bring them a little more of a rounded look now. He's going to take the play. He's probably going to take the place of Al Horford. Horford's had a good career. Porzingis is more in his prime, obviously. He had a great year in Washington last year, 22 points a game. I think he's got an opportunity to shine in Boston. How good is he going to mesh with Jaylen Brown? And, so, that's going to be key. Feel bad for Marcus Smart. He's going to go to Memphis, but he's a character guy. That's what Memphis needs right there. I like the fit there. I think it's going to be a good fit for him. Hopefully they can use him to straighten out Ja Morant. They can build something there in Memphis. They're not a bad team. Who knows? Maybe he can, fit in with Dylan Brooks if he's going to be there. I don't think he's going to end up there, but if he is, you never know. It's so Boston, I thought, made out on the trade. They got Kristaps Porzingis and a couple of first-round draft picks. They traded one of them, but they got assets. I like the move. I think Porzingis is going to fit in good. I think Boston is definitely going to be a team to be reckoned with again next year. Now, the next question is, when are they going to offer Jaylen Brown the max deal? 5 years, $295 million. That's the first domino for Boston, for their next new big three. So, obviously, I think that it's a good fit for Boston getting Kristaps Porzingis. So, we'll have to keep an eye on that. So, all right, that's the NBA draft. Now they can focus their attention on the silly season and the summer league. Free agency will come up. If there's a big free agency move, we'll pass it along down the road here on the Captain Lou Extravaganza. We'll probably kind of take our attention away from the NBA for a few months until they get going closer to the start of the regular season in October. So you're watching the Captain Lou Extravaganza here on the Captain Lou Sports Network. We welcome you here on this Free-for-All Friday. We want to talk a little bit about MahlerBros.com. If you're out on the golf course and you're making the turn, you're having a decent round, but it's hot, kind of like today here in the Michigan area, a little bit muggy, and you're maybe getting a little overheated and you're wondering, man, what could I have done different? And it's starting to affect your game a little bit. Well, probably with what you're wearing. You want a shirt that feels good, that breathable, and it looks good. And you're thinking, where could I go to get it? Well, I got just the answer for you, MahlerBros.com. They've got a great supply of polo shirts, T-shirts. Also, if you're looking for some swag, they've got cups, mugs, you name it, coming out with coffee as well. MahlerBros.com is the answer for you. And they've got loud, if you like the loud look with your T-shirts or your polo shirts, or if you're more of a conservative look, MahlerBros.com. There's nowhere else you need to go. It'll make you look good. When you look good, you feel good. When you feel good, you play good. It'll get you up there mentally. Maybe it'll help you get you back in your game, and you can go after that, that round that you want to shoot, break 80 or whatever, break 90. MahlerBros.com. And make sure you use the promo code BELLYUP for 15% off of your purchase. That is MahlerBros.com, one of our sponsors here on the Captain Lou Extravaganza, here on the Captain Lou Sports Network. Again, we welcome you. We are powered up by Belly Up Sports. We invite you to check out our complete list of podcasts that we have on the Belly Up Sports Network. And, of course, also we invite you to check out the articles that we write on the network. We've got a great group of sports writers. They've got everything covered in the world of sports. You talk about the NBA draft, the trades, MLS, soccer, you name it, the World Cup for women coming up, pro golf, everything in the world of sports. They've got it covered at bellyupsports.com. And also, we invite you to subscribe to our network, the Captain Lou Sports Network. We've got a lot of great interviews we've had. If you're into pro wrestling, we had a great interview with Sean Oliver, best-selling author, New York Times best-selling author, talking about the life and some of the escapades of the Iron Sheik. You can see that interview on our channel, which is the Captain Lou Sports Network on YouTube. I invite you to subscribe to our channel, and you can see all of those interviews that we've had here in the past, and we got a lot of great stuff coming up here on the network coming up this summer and into the fall. So I invite you to subscribe to our network on YouTube, the Captain Lou Sports Network. Major League Baseball standings. We always like to take a quick look to them on Fridays, and no better way to start than on the top with the Cincinnati Reds. They're the hottest team in baseball right now. They have won 11 straight, and they've got a big series coming up this weekend with the Atlanta Braves. Cincinnati with an 11-game winning streak, 40-35 on top now in the National League Central Division, a game and a half lead over the Milwaukee Brewers. And we talked about the Pittsburgh Pirates a little while ago, asking if they could maintain their pace and staying in first place. The Pirates now, they've lost 10 straight on the other end of that spectrum. They are now 5.5 games out of first place. They're in fourth place in the National League Central. The bubble has burst, at least for now, in Pittsburgh. They had a heck of a run for a couple of months. Now they're in fourth place. But the Reds, I don't know if they're going to fall flat on their face and win 11 games or lose 10 games in a row, but they're on an 11-game winning streak. They've got some young talent coming up. They're playing excellent ball, trying to stay ahead of Milwaukee, a game and a half ahead of them. Milwaukee 4-6 in their last 10. But now for the Reds, they've got a big series coming up. We talked about it. They're going to be taking on the Atlanta Braves. Atlanta winners of 8 straight. They cooled off the Philadelphia Phillies this past weekend, or this past Wednesday and Thursday, rather. Yesterday, winning in extra innings, the top of the 10th, I believe it was. They got 5 runs, including a 3-run blast. So, they're winning 8 straight now. They, I believe, have a 5.5-game lead in the National League East, or 6-game lead over the Miami Marlins, who are playing some great baseball as well. Philly's still a couple of games over 500. They're trying to climb back into contention. They're now 10 games out in the National League East, and the New York Mets, they're 14 games out. What the holy hell has happened to the New York Mets? 6 games under 500 with that payroll, with that talent level, 14 games out. That's going to be a big, big hole to climb out of. If I was the New York Mets and their fans, I would try to hope to maybe get in a wild card spot, but that's going to be pretty tough when you've got the teams in the National League West. Of course, the Arizona Diamondbacks, 3.5-game lead over the San Francisco Giants. They have lost a couple in a row. They've lost one. They lost to the Dodgers. The Dodgers in third place, 4 games out at 41-33. The American League, again, Tampa Bay, they're rolling. They've lost. They're 4-6 in their last 10, but they've got a 4.5-game lead over the Baltimore Orioles. They played the Orioles in a series in Tampa. 52-26 are the Rays, still holding on with a big record. The Yankees, 9.5 games out in third place. The Toronto Blue Jays just a half game back of them now at 41-35. And the Red Sox, they've lost a couple in a row, but they're in last place, 12 games back. All of those teams would be in first place in the American League Central. The Minnesota Twins have won a couple in a row to get back to 500. They are a game ahead of the Cleveland Guardians, who are 2 games below 500. Our Detroit Tigers are 4.5 games back, 9 games under 500. They've got a 3-game weekend set with Minnesota. They took 2 out of 3 from the Twins when they were in Minnesota last weekend. They need to do that if they want to get relevant. I know it's premature to talk about the Tigers. 9 games under 500, but they're our team. It's our show. We'll talk about the Tigers. They had 2 bad stretches. The Tigers, going 1-9, I think losing 9 in a row. Then they started out 2-9. With those bad stretches, they're still only 9 games under 500. Yeah, I know, but playing in such a porous division, if they can stay contending into August, you never know. I know I'm reaching for this one, but it's laughable to look at the Twins being in first place with a 500 record, underachieving. They were my pick to win the division. I had the Tigers winning 72 games this year. So if they can stay at that pace, improve on it a little bit, maybe get this young talent, start to get healthy and start to play some ball. Some of these guys, but the biggest problem with Detroit is they can't hit. I think they've been shut out 10 times this year. So we'll keep an eye on that, a big weekend series with the Twins. The Rangers, 18 games above 500. They've got a 5.5 game lead over the Astros. They're kind of bouncing back and forth with the California Angels or Los Angeles Angels, whatever you want to call them. Both 41 and 34 and 41 and 35. Then the Mariners are 9.5 out there as well. Want to talk a little bit about, the other news really in Major League Baseball going on right now was Rob Manfred came out this week and saying he probably regrets how he handled the Houston Astros with the players getting immunity. Going back to the cheating scandal of 2017. Yeah, I bet he does regret it. AJ Hinch got fired, losing his job, getting suspended. The Astros got $5 million fine, forfeited some draft picks. Manfred's kind of stepped in it with some of the things he said over the years and some of his decisions. The way that they're handling the Oakland A's situation, and now what they said earlier in the month about how if teams want improvements on their stadiums or whatnot, they want new stadiums, it's got to come through public funding. I know he's the mouthpiece of the owners on that one. I'll give him a little bit of slack on that, but I totally agree that he mishandled the cheating scandal of 2017. How Carlos Correa didn't get suspended, how some of the even Justin Verlander, they all got immunity. They all got nothing for what happened. And I go back to what I said a few years ago when this all came about. They took part in it. Now, I guess one of the ways that they could get punished, and I don't think they're going to, is when the Hall of Fame committee comes out after they're all retired. Will they get in? Are they going to treat them on the same level when you talk about cheating the game as Barry Bonds and Mark McGwire and Sosa and Pete Rose and that thing? Are they going to get in? And if they let some of these guys in, like Carlos Correa or Justin Verlander or Jose Altuve, some of these players that were a part of that team, if they let them in, is that going to be the last straw to let in as somebody like a Mark McGwire or Barry Bonds or Roger Clemens? What would they have done to get them? What would the punishment have been? What would have been justified for these players? 25 games, a quarter of the season, 40 games. They willfully cheated. And they admitted it because they were granted immunity. And so, they should have got suspended. I agree. And it's easy to say that now. I get it. And the thing is, Manfred will, he gets away, he'll get out of this smelling like a rose. He's not going to get punished for this. He's employed by the owners. And see, that's what kind of surprises me about this, about him, AJ Hinch getting fired, the DM or the GM getting let go. They took the sword for this, and the players did. And you would think that somebody employed by the owners, you would have thought that they would have went after the players too. Especially the Yankees or the Dodgers. You think that they would have led the charge a little bit harder, because they ended up paying the price for this. They lost in the playoffs and in the World Series. Although I will go, to my grave saying, the Dodgers didn't lose that series because of that cheating scandal. Where they win a couple of games at home in that World Series, this would have all been mute. They would have won that World Series. The Dodgers, in my opinion, are still the most underachieving franchise with what they've got, with all these division championships they've won. They're the Atlanta Braves of this generation of the 1990s. That's the LA Dodgers. One World Series with all the hype, with the payroll, with all the talent. They didn't lose that World Series because of this cheating scandal. They lost a couple of games, but if you can't win 2 games at home in a World Series, you don't deserve to win. I'm sorry. But on the other hand, there's 2 ways to look at this, and I still think the players should have got some kind of suspension, should have got hit in the pocketbook somehow for what they did, for part of what they did in that cheating scandal in 2017. And I think Manfred, he dropped the ball on that one big time, and just another in the list of how he has dropped the ball, he and the owners in Major League Baseball. You've got Bowie Kuhn and you've got Bud Selig. The way Bud Selig handled the whole steroid thing. And I mean, I don't know. It's something that's good banner back and forth in Major League Baseball, but that was then. This is now. We've got a great series coming up this weekend, the series of the weekend. If you want great baseball, watch Cincinnati versus Atlanta this weekend. Both teams leading their divisions. Atlanta leading the National League East, 6-game lead over Miami. And Cincinnati with an 11-game winning streak. They've got a game-and-a-half lead over Milwaukee. And I think they're 5 up on, or I beg your pardon, 3.5 up on the Chicago Cubs, who are not out of it. And so there's the series. Atlanta with their 8-game winning streak, and Cincinnati, of course, with their 11-game winning streak. We're going to end the show here this morning talking a little bit about the Hockey Hall of Fame, the NHL Hall of Fame, or the Hockey Hall of Fame, with their latest inductees. We'll talk about what we think, who should have got in, and we'll talk about who got in as well, some of the people that got in. But first, want to talk about Javi Coffee. If you like instant coffee, if you're a coffee drinker like I am, I've got the solution for you, and I think it's a great way to go, and that's Javi Coffee. It's easier than pods. It tastes better than gourmet, I'll tell you that much. And all it takes really is 1 or 2 teaspoons, 2 teaspoons at the most, depending on how strong you want it. You could drink it hot or cold. I know the iced coffee craze is out there. I'm still I'm getting into it, especially in the summertime. I love a good hot cup of coffee. I don't care what the temperature is. You boil your water. It's easier than Keurig's. I got to tell you, Javi Coffee is the way to go. They've got great flavors: salted caramel, French vanilla, which is my favorite, regular decaf. It's got protein. It's great for you, and it tastes good. I invite you to check out the website, javicoffee.com. And when you're there, use the promo code Captain Lou, and you'll get 15% off of your purchase. That's javicoffee.com. Use the promo code Captain Lou, 15% off of your purchase. It's that simple. And it's great coffee. Again, it's easier than pods and tastes better than gourmet. I will say that. That's javicoffee.com. And again, use the promo code Captain Lou for 15% off of your purchase. That's javicoffee.com. Well, we're going to end the show here this morning by talking a little bit about the Hockey Hall of Fame. Their inductees in 2023, headlining the list that was voted in was Henrik Lundqvist. King Henry, the goaltender for the New York Rangers, had a stellar career with the Rangers. Went to 1 Stanley Cup final in 2014. They lost to the Los Angeles Kings. Tom Barrasso and Mike Vernon, a couple other goalies that got in. Barrasso, of course, drafted by Buffalo, got a couple of Stanley Cups with the Pittsburgh Penguins in the early 1990s with Mario Lemieux and the boys. A great goaltender. Mike Vernon won a couple of Stanley Cups, 1989 with Calgary, and of course won in 97 with our Detroit Red Wings. He got elected into the Hall of Fame. He played on the 1986 team that lost to the Montreal Canadiens, and of course was a starting goaltender in 95 for the Red Wings when they got swept by the New Jersey Devils. Ken Hitchcock got in. He was elected in as one of the leaders or one of the builders. Carolyn Ouellette, she had a great career in Canada professionally and also on the gold medal teams. Very, very well-deserved for her. Pierre Turgeon also got in. Very well-deserved. It's been a long time for him. Should have probably been in earlier. Congratulations to all of them. They deserve to be in. Lundqvist got in. He played with the Rangers for 15 years, 2005 to 2020. 459 wins. A lot of wins for him. He has a .918 save percentage, 8th amongst all goalies all time, with over 300 wins. Congratulations to Lundqvist. I think he deserves to be in. Tom Barrasso and Mike Vernon, MVP type, Hall of Fame type numbers. Barrasso, as we mentioned, he got in, drafted by Buffalo back in the 80s, watched him play for a lot of years with a Buffalo Sabres team that wasn't the greatest, ended up going to Pittsburgh, a couple of Stanley Cups there, did real well. Mike Vernon, as I mentioned, well-deserved to get in. He holds, obviously, some great memories as a Detroit Red Wings fan. The starting goaltender for the Wings in 97, 16-4, got the Conn Smythe in that playoff run in 97. He gets in 370 wins, 379 wins. Congratulations to him. Pierre Turgeon again. He deserved to be in. I don't know what took so long for him to get in, but he's in there. Ken Hitchcock coached a lot of years. He's got one Stanley Cup ring. I remember him for a long time with the St. Louis Blues. Coached the Blackhawks. Great coach. Congratulations to him. Deserved to be in. But I want to kind of talk about who should be in and who didn't get in. And I got to tell you, what does Chris Osgood have to do to get into the Hall of Fame? I know I'm a little biased being a Red Wings fan, but here's a guy, 401 wins, 3 Stanley Cups he was a part of, 2 as a starter, 2008 with the Red Wings, 1998 with the Red Wings as well. 9th all-time in playoff wins with 74, 12th all-time in the NHL with wins at 401. What the hell? What does he got to do to get in? And don't give me the argument that he played on some stacked teams. You want to go back to Tom Barrasso? He played on stacked teams with the Pittsburgh Penguins in 91 and 92. He played with a guy by the name of, let me think, Mario Lemieux? Yeah, that's who it was. So if you're going to make that argument against Tom Osgood, Chris Osgood to get in, that's the reason why he couldn't. He's got to be there. If Tom Barrasso is in there, and God bless Mike Vernon for getting in, less wins, same amount of cups. Osgood was on the team, and he played great. He played in 2009. He played a heck of a series in 2009. He wasn't the reason why the Red Wings lost that Stanley Cup in 2009 against Pittsburgh. Osgood's numbers, they deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. He's not in there. It's an injustice. I don't know what Chris Osgood has to do to get into the Hall of Fame. He should be in there. He's overdue. 401 wins, 74 playoff wins, all Hall of Fame worthy numbers. 3 Stanley Cups, 2 as a starter, played in another one in 2009. That's, to me, the joke of the Hall of Fame, him not being elected. There's a couple other ones. Obviously, I'd like to see Henrik Zetterberg in from the Wings. I think he's going to get in. How is Rod Brind'Amour not into the Hall of Fame? 1,454 games. He's got a Stanley Cup with the Carolina Hurricanes, 1,200 and some points. He's up there all time in points and games. How is Brind'Amour not in? And what about Alexander Mogilny? He played with Paul Kariya. He's got the numbers. He was on a Stanley Cup team with the New Jersey Devils as well. How are those 3 players not in the Hall of Fame? Now, I know every Hall of Fame has their snubs, the people that should be in, but I guarantee you, getting back to Chris Osgood, with those kind of numbers, if he was a Toronto Maple Leaf, a Montreal Canadien, a New York Ranger, a Boston Bruin, with those numbers, he'd have a plaque in the Hall of Fame. Chris Osgood deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. It's an absolute joke that he's not in there. And along with Rod Brind'Amour and Mogilny, you could throw Theo Fleury in there as well. But my God, what is it going to take for Chris Osgood to get into the Hall of Fame? His numbers speak for themselves. It's a joke that he's not in there. All right. Well, there you go. There's my rant. Congratulations to those that did get into the Hall of Fame. I'm not going to take anything away from them. They had the numbers to be in there. But again, if those guys are in there, if Barrasso's in there, if Mike Vernon's in there, why is Osgood not in the Hall of Fame? That's all I ask. All right, that's going to do it here this morning. I want to thank everybody for taking time out to watch us here on the Captain Lou Extravaganza. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Captain Lou Sports Network. We got a lot of great stuff coming up. It's going to be a fun year. We got a new program that we're going to initiate on the network coming up in August. We're going to talk about it more next week. Really excited to bring it to you. Can't wait. We'll talk about the concept of it next week. So again, have a great weekend, everybody. Powered up by Belly Up Sports. We are the Captain Lou Extravaganza. Brought to you by MahlerBros.com. Check out the website, MahlerBros.com. They got great polos and T-shirts. You want to look good. When you look good, you'll feel good. You feel good, you'll play good on the golf course. MahlerBros.com. Use the promo code Belly Up for 15% off. And also, get yourself a great cup of coffee, instant coffee. The best place to do that, go to JaviCoffee.com. See their deals that they've got there right now. And the best deal, too, use the promo code Captain Lou for 15% off of your purchase. That's javicoffee.com. All right, everybody, enjoy your weekend. Tell everybody that watch the Captain Lou Extravaganza. Hug your loved ones and enjoy. Get out there and have fun this weekend, will you? All right, this reminder, keep your heads up, keep your sticks down, keep your feet moving, and as always, keep your minds open. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you Monday, 10 o'clock Eastern time, right here on the Captain Lou Extravaganza on the Captain Lou Sports Network. So long.